Okay, hello, internets, hello, everyone, hello, world. Yeah, today I want to talk about man lesson. Uh, and my first man lesson, I talked about my qualifications, but basically the idea is there is a lack of male leadership, a lack of masculinity in this world. So I just want to share what I've used in my life to get me to where I'm at, and I'm a you know fairly successful upper middle class guy. I think I've had a lot of successes and failures and a lot to share with the world. So, yeah, today I want to talk about what I've used most in my life, probably, and it's just a basic principle, basic learning how to bowl. We're going to learn how to bowl today, and that's the lesson. And we're gonna learn what bowling teaches us. We're going to break down the steps to bowl properly, the proper form. And I should probably start by saying this that bowling. This was when I went to college. This class was probably my most valuable class. The class that I learned the most from was how to bowl properly, and it's what I've applied to a lot of things in my life, everywhere. So we're gonna learn how to bowl, and we'll watch it quickly. This is just a video I found off the interwebs. So we'll watch it quickly, and then we're gonna break down step by step, and we're gonna see how this applies to our life. And just to reiterate, these man lessons are basically, I would say they're surefire, 100% foolproof ways to become successful in this world. They're not fast though. Okay. They're not, there's no get rich quick scheme that I know of. There's no fast way to become a successful, person or man in this world, but it is a surefire way. And, what I tell people all the time is, invest in yourself, and that carries with you everywhere you go. Yeah, if you learn these skills that I'm talking about here, it will translate with whatever happens around you. Wherever you go in life, you take them with you. And another way to say it is I tell people, be the pilot in your life, right? Be the pilot. Like if you ever hear there's a plane crash, a fighter plane crash, right? They always talk about, oh, they got to save the pilot. They got to save the pilot. It could be a $70 million plane, but they always talk about you got to save the pilot because the pilot's more valuable than the $70 million plane. Why? Because of all the training he goes through, right? He's extremely valuable because of all that training. Okay. So let's get into it. All right. This is from National Bowling Academy. I'm not really familiar, but the bowling is actually really the side story. It's really how does this apply to our life? I'm gonna keep the sound off. So I'm just gonna talk through it. So we got a couple nerdy white guys. All right, I'm gonna play this at 1.25 speed. All right, so he's getting set. All right, so here he is. He's measuring out a I'll just talk about high level. He's measuring out like where to get positioned, right? So he's doing a four-step. Scenario. Now here I would disagree with him, and keep in mind I haven't listened to his, but what he's not at the, I don't know if y'all can see, he's not at these lines, okay, these dots. So if you notice in bowling, there's 2 rows of dots, right? And he's doing a 4-step motion. Okay, so typically in bowling, you either do a 6-step or a 4-step motion. I like to do a 4-step. So watch, he's probably gonna back up to where those initial lines are, and I'll talk about what that means. All right, so I think he's just, basically. Oh, sorry. Let me. What he's talking about now is a strike, right? So obviously the goal of bowling is to hit as many pins as possible, and you want to get a strike. You're really trying to do is control the ball, right? You're trying to control the ball, and whoever can control the ball will knock down the most pins, right? So he's talking about this is the best way to get a strike, is you want to come in at this angle, you want to hit the lead pin, and I think this is the 3 pin. So you want to hit right in between the 1 and the 3 pin. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. And notice how he's talking about this arrow right here. Most people don't know what these arrows and dots mean, but I'll talk about it in a second. But Let's just keep going and we'll rewind it and break it down slowly. So he's targeting that arrow closest to him, right? All right, and that's actually a very key lesson that we'll talk about in a second. All right, so now he's talking about the motion. And like I said, I haven't listened to the audio of this. I want to just use this as a visual. All right, so yeah, bend the knees, pull your right foot back, lean forward from your hips. So yeah, having a good solid stance. Hold the ball with the forearm parallel to the ground. I would phrase that a little bit differently, parallel to the ground. Okay, hold the ball with the forearm parallel to the ground. Take first step with right foot, simultaneously pushing the ball forward. All right, so let's watch his motion. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Okay. So he had a nice, solid motion. All right, so now he's basically making an adjustment. Okay. And let's see what happens next. All right, so he made a little adjustment. Now he got his strike. All right, so now let me break this down. And what did we just watch? How can that teach us to be successful in life? The first thing is get a routine, right? So what is the first thing he's really teaching us? Right, maybe I'll slow it down now. All right, I'll slow this. I'll slow this down to 0.75 speed. Okay, so in life, right, you want to, basically, like I said earlier, you want to control the ball, right? So if I could boil this lesson down into just 1 or 2 sentences, you want to control as much as you can around you, and you want to take out variables that will distract you or variables that will get in the way of your goal, right? So you want to be focused. So another way to put that is you want to be focused on your goal. You want to set yourself up for success, right? You want to get rid of things in your life, get rid of things in the area that get in the way of your goal, right? So that's kind of I'm just saying the same thing in different ways. Okay. So now I would step back here. I don't know if you can see, maybe let me tweak some things here so that y'all can see. All right, I'll just minimize myself. So I recommend actually starting at one of these dots, and let me explain why. So the dots, there's a certain amount of distance they are from the dots in the front of, everyone sees, these are where you would stand. So I would recommend standing, and where your lead foot is very important, okay? So again, use what you have around you to help you, right? You're eliminating variables by doing this, right? So you have a consistent approach to the line, and the angle at which you're approaching the line is consistent, right? These are very important, right? So again, in life, how do you apply that to, if your goal is whatever, right? Name your goal, right? How does this apply to you? Okay. All right. So we're going to keep going. Oh, sorry. I'm going to make myself big again. Okay. So pretend he's starting at this line. And then what we're going to learn, oops, sorry, let me back up. Nope. Okay. So he's going to, whoops, sorry. Let me pause this. Okay, there's pause. Okay, so this is the goal, right? So the next big learning from here is, the goal is these right here, this pin, or at least you want to hit in between these 2 pins. Okay, so what these dots tell us is basically, these are other markers that are closer to you. They're more manageable, right? These markers are much more approachable because they're closer to you. They're basically a third or a quarter of the way to you. Instead of aiming at the pin itself, you're aiming at a more manageable target. Okay. So, and again, in life, what does that tell us? So basically, don't expect to be super successful tomorrow or within a couple weeks, right? You need to choose goals that are more manageable, that are more closer to you, that are easier to do, right? So, like for example, for me, like I enjoy, as a hobby, I enjoy doing carpentry and remodeling, right? And people will see pictures of what I do, and they're always like, "Wow, that's amazing! How do you do that?" People always ask me, "How did you learn to do that?" And my answer is always like, "Well, I just kept doing it until it's right." Right? Which what I'm really saying is, and people can't really handle or grasp. It flies over their head usually when they say that. Or, but what I'm really saying is, I started a little bit at a time, right? What you're seeing, my finished product, my final product, but what you didn't see is all the mistakes I made, right? All the lonely hours I spent in the garage or working on a project and failing, right? So you're only looking at my final success, but what that is really a combination of smaller tasks that were more manageable, right? Smaller failures that I already made. Okay. So that's what we're doing here with bowling. All right. So now what he's talking about here is the angle. So remember, we talked about your approach, right? Where to put your front toe, your lead toe. So you're going to put your lead toe, you really need to decide where you're going to start, and then you're going to pick your angle of approach. So you're going to pick this, probably this arrow right here. But for everyone, it's a little bit different, right? You might pick this arrow. You might pick this arrow. Your strengths are going to be different, right? Everyone has a little bit different strengths, right? And different, I don't know how you put it, life situations, right? So, but regardless, you're going to pick one of these arrows. You're going to pick your angle of approach, and you're going to see the result, okay? So here he goes. And so this is his first try. Let's watch him. So just to recap what we've learned so far. So he has a consistent routine. He's established that. He's, picking something more manageable. He's picking his angle of approach, and he has a goal. All right. So see, that's his more manageable goal. He's going after that arrow. And let's watch him swing. So, you get a wide stance, just like anything in life. You always, like this is an extremely important point. You have to have a wide or a solid foundation. Anytime you do something, right? Like I enjoy tennis, or I picked it up recently, and a lot of the same mechanism in tennis is the same as how to throw a punch in martial arts, right? These same principles. That's what's to me amazing about learning how to bowl, is that these same principles, like how to throw a punch, how to hit a tennis ball, how to hit a baseball, these same principles carry with you throughout life in many, many areas, right? So anytime you have a foundation, anytime you want to do something, you want to have a solid foundation. Like in tennis, when I'm not great at tennis, but I do, do a little bit of coaching. And I tell people, only hit the ball from a position of strength, right? If you're falling back, if you're awkward, and you try to hit the ball, well, your ball is going to be falling back or awkward, right? But if you have a strong foundation, 99% of the time, that ball is going to come off that racket strong. Same with a bowling ball. All right. So that's basically what he's describing here. All right. Let's watch his, we're going to watch his swing. Where is it? All right. And he's explaining, all right, what this point that he's explaining right here, notice his motion, the instructor, right? He's saying, come down. Let's watch it. He's saying, right? He's saying you're here, and then you're going to go up and straight. And that motion right there, okay, that motion right there, that's actually key to what I'm saying. And basically, if you notice, a lot of beginner bowling ball players, right, they will, I don't know if you can see from the camera, they'll start the ball here in front of them, right? If you're right-handed, they're going to start the ball here, and then they have this big motion. They bring the ball all the way across their body, and then they bring it forward, right? So if you do that, right, if you have this big sideways motion, okay, you're not, there's only one point in time when you release that ball that it's going to be perfect, right? Does that make sense? So if you're coming across your body, right, you're swinging sideways, there's only that one point in time, right? So your timing has to be perfect. So think about it. That's a huge variable, right? That your timing has to be exactly right. So what he's saying is, Look at him. What he's saying is drop the ball to your side, right? And if you notice, there's just a straight line up and down, and his body is not in the way of the ball. Okay, that's key. So now that what he's doing is he's dropping the ball to the side of his body, right? So now it's just going straight down and straight forward. Now look at what you just did. Now it doesn't matter when in time, right? It doesn't matter the exact point in time. Like he could release the ball here, he could release the ball here, he could release the ball there, and it's still going to go straight, right? So he just eliminated so many variables from his goal by just a simple thing of just bringing the ball from your center and throwing it sideways. Just bring the ball to your side, drop your arm straight down, right? It's a tiny detail that makes a huge difference. All right, so now he's gonna try. Let's watch him. I do have this at slow speed, so see how he drops the balls to his side. Doesn't matter where he releases it; it's going to go straight, or it's at least going to go mostly where he wants. Right now, he makes a little adjustment. He didn't quite get his strike that first time, and see what he's doing. So he adjusted where he stood relative to the pin and the starting location. Right. So what does that teach us? Make small adjustments, right? Constantly be evaluating yourself. Constantly be, adjust. Okay, what did I do wrong? What did I do right? Do I need to throw it harder? Do I need to throw it softer? Constantly be evaluating yourself and critical of yourself. And that's, I'm always like, anytime I mess up in work, I'll like examine it. I'm like, okay, how did I make this mistake? And people will almost try to change the subject in my favor, right? They're like, it's okay. Everyone makes mistakes, but I'm like, no, I want to talk about my mistake. Let's see, how did this happen? I want to understand, how did this happen? And how do I make this not happen ever again? And I mean, I think everyone who's, got a decent amount of mental health, needs to do that. Or if you have some bit of success, they have that skill where they can just be, critical of themselves. So, all right, let's just watch it again in its entirety. So here, they're making a few adjustments. So maybe they need to change their angle of approach, maybe one step, one floorboard to the left or to the right. All right, there he goes. You drop it nice to the side. Boom. And he hit the target. All right, so, I hope this helps someone out there. Again, this is a life lesson that I've applied to, everything in my life, and it's really helped me a lot. And I think, at the end of the day, everyone needs to, decide what they want to be and just go after it. Right. And yeah, so I hope this helps, and, you can check out my other man lessons. All right, everyone have a good day out there.